Change is coming, spirit is summoned. A different way, a brand new day. Embrace the change. Embrace the change. Embrace the change.
All right, ready or not, here we go. Happy New Year. Peg the needles on that one. Happy New Year. Happy New Decade 2020. Yep, the year 2020. Thought I'd settle in here and just wish you a Happy New Year and kind of take stock and set the pins for another year and another decade, and I hope that you had a good New Year's Eve. I had a rather uneventful New Year's Eve. We had plans with friends. We were going to have some dinner and then come here and drink some champagne and play some games and make some noise, and our friend had surgery, so we had to cancel that. And in a way, I'm glad, because one Cadillac margarita and I was out, baby. Let's just say there were a lot of explosions in our neighborhood, and they woke me up, and I raised an eyebrow to greet the new year and the new decade, but then I fell back to sleep, and mighty glad I did, too. As we enter into the year 2020, yeah, what are you going to do? It's nuts. I'm looking at Facebook here. Everyone was out celebrating and partying, and they've all posted their pictures, and it was interesting. I was watching Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, which they still call Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve, even though Ryan Seacrest has been doing it now for, 6 years? I wonder if he secretly hates that. I know he has come out to say, yeah, Dick Clark's my man, and I know I'm the heir apparent, but I wonder if he secretly resents the fact that he's always going to be compared to Dick Clark. I wonder if I'm actually just transferring, because that's how I would approach it. That's what would go on internally with me if that was me in that position. That's where I kind of find myself here in the year 2020, sitting here in my studio, and I'm looking around, and I've got, I had seen friends do this, and I liked it, so I created a shrine to the past, and I'm looking around here at all these pictures, and I'm standing next to all these famous people, and I'm standing next to friends I haven't seen in decades. I'm standing next to some people that aren't alive anymore. There I am. I actually have hair. It's a tribute to the past, which is rather frustrating because it's over. And so I go, okay, well, if I can't look back at the past, if that's not as gratifying as it used to be, let's look forward to the future. And I'm realizing now that's impossible. You can't do that. You can't know what the future is going to hold. I have a friend that he died 4 years ago, had a massive heart attack out of nowhere. Just got out of bed, walked to the closet, and dropped dead. And I'm sure he hadn't planned on that. My Steve friend Pringle, my friend Steve Pringle, who died just a month or so ago. This time last year, we were at the Internet Jock Christmas party, and he had no clue that within the year he would be dead. He would be gone. So looking to the future is kind of pointless. It was a John Lennon that said, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. That's really true. So the future, really, there's no point in looking towards that. So my goal here for the year 2020 and the next decade, which I hope I get 10 years worth of, is to learn to be in the moment, learn to live the moment fully, to open my eyes and just experience everything that the moment brings. And that's entailing a lot of inner searching. I'm really becoming aware of the habits and the tendencies that I've had in my life, and I'm getting better at spotting those, lifelong patterns, the judging, the sitting there last night watching Rockin' New Year's Eve and all these 20-somethings dancing and partying and doing their best to look fabulous on TV and judging them, thinking, oh, come on, you're not as happy as you look. Or people that post things on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, come on. Quit trying to put your best picture forward. And then realizing that's just me transferring. I mean, I do the very same thing. So I'm getting better at spotting that. Because really, what does that bring me? What good has that ever brought into my life? The controlling, I've always been kind of a control freak. Quit nodding your head, Mary. Oh, poor beleaguered Mary. I'm getting better at spotting that. I'm happily putting that in my rear view here in the new decade. The passive aggressivity, yep, don't need that anymore. That was never any good. Don't know how I ended up adding that to my palette, but I'm going to put that aside, let that go by the wayside. Always been kind of a pleaser. Yeah, what can I do to make you like me better? That's another thing that I'm starting to be able to spot ahead of time. See those tendencies. Even at this late age, I've been around now for 6+ decades. Even still, I go, oh, how can I make this person like me better? What can I do to make them like me better? It's not that I want to be of service to them. I mean, let's be honest. Let's be totally real about it. It's what can I do to make them like me better? Wonder how that got started. I often think about that. I had a wonderful childhood. It's not like I had any kind of trauma as a kid that would lead me down these roads to need to know that people liked me. What an interesting choice I made getting into radio. One of the most transitory and superficial industries on the face of the planet. Throw myself willy-nilly into that universe, knowing that I'm a person that needs to feel like I'm liked. I mean, no wonder I grind my teeth at night. But I'm happy to say that I'm spotting those tendencies, and I'm putting that away too in the year 2020. So this is a decade for me of transition, growth and transition. I'm seeing a lot of friends transition out of my life. Isn't that interesting how people come into your world and you're with them for a year, 5 years, 10 years, and then they go on, paths diverge, and they leave your life. And you find yourself thinking, wow, haven't talked to such and such in so long. Seeing an awful lot of that go on here as we enter into 2020. My dad has begun to transition. He's begun to enter into a new phase. He's having some memory issues that we've begun to notice, and we're having those, oh, shit, this is really happening kind of moments. My brother and I are doing a lot of confabbing between the two of us to make sure that we can do what we can to ensure that he is able to live in his own environment and that he's safe and protected and watched over, but at the same time, he still has his independence. It's kind of a tricky balance. You know, we're at that stage now where he is not down with some of the things we're suggesting, even though it might actually be for the best. And hey, I totally get that. Please, God, don't ever let that happen to me. And that's something that's also begun to pop into my radar. Is me looking at other people going through horrible things going, shit, I hope that doesn't happen to me. How do I keep that from happening to me? Like with my dad and his memory issues. As much as I feel for him and I love him and I want to make things right in his world, I also think to myself, well, what can I do to keep that from happening to me? Is it a matter of reading more? Is my meditation practice actually going to be beneficial in other ways that I'm not aware of? I would love that in the next decade, though, to be able to truly more deeply be of service to the universe and to others. I mean, you're never going to step outside the realm of wanting the best for yourself. I don't care how enlightened you are. There's always going to be a little part of your brain that goes, yeah, but what about me? If I'm not happy, what's the point? So maybe it's the fact that I've seen so many friends die. And I know that I'm definitely going to die. But I want to make sure I set things straight. I bet you if you look back and you talk to people, you go to like a retirement home and you sit down and talk to the people that are living there, you probably hear a lot of the same things. They're looking back thinking, well, I did my best, but I want to do what I need to make sure that when the time comes, I am covered, baby. Covered. That's kind of a weird thing to think about, but when death does come, you want to make sure that you are in a place where you can welcome it. That's one of my goals. What an odd thing to say. That's how I know that I'm definitely in my 60s, because I've begun to look at death as an inevitability. It was always something I knew was going to happen, but you could easily just brush it to the back of your head. Now I've had it thrown in my face so many times with people I love and people I respect that it's coming your way too, and you don't want to be the guy that has wide open eyes of fear as death comes a-knocking. So I'm really trying to embrace the notion that death is the last great adventure. And I'm trying to do everything I can to set myself up so that when that does begin to happen, I can transition in that direction. I'm not sure you have a lot to say because my mom was very similar when she was dying. She would listen to tapes and she would study so that she could easily transition. And even still, her cancer brought so much pain that she ended up taking morphine, and it skews your head and puts you in weird places. So not exactly sure she transitioned in the way she wanted, which kind of breaks my heart. And boy, talk about regrets. That's one that I would love to be able to go back and redo. The first day she told us I have cancer and I'm going to just let it happen. We all just kind of dogpiled on her and said, hey, come on, fight this thing. Think of all the things you'll miss in life. Blah, blah, blah. And kind of bullied her into taking chemo, which just basically bought her a year of hell, a year of feeling crappy. And as cancer often does, once you think you've got it licked, it turns around and kicks you in the ass and goes, oh no, here I come threefold. So yeah, like I said, you can't look back into the rear view, but boy, I'd sure like a do-over on that one. So here we stand at the precipice of 2020, brand new year, brand new decade, and I'm looking forward to maybe doing some traveling in the next 10 years. Like 10 years, 20 years. How old would I be if I was 30 years down the road? 60, maybe even my 90s? Well, if I'm healthy, if I got all my synapses intact, then bring it on. All my friends agree. Don't mind how old I am. I just want to have all my faculties, and I want to be healthy, and then let the chips fall as they may. But yeah, I'd love to do some traveling. Never really have had time or the financial wherewithal to do much in the way of extensive travel. So I'd love to put that on my resume before I check out and head down the road to whatever the road is. I'd like to continue to look inward because I think all the answers are there. It's really fascinating, kind of fun too. The deeper I dig and compare what I see to how I responded to things in the past, the more I have to laugh about how clueless I was coming up in this lifetime. I did my best. I was certainly not a bad human being, but boy, I was kind of lost at times. No doubt about it. Who out there isn't? Who out there can't say that, right? I don't think you're trying if you don't get a little lost once in a while. So I guess that's what this particular episode of Embrace the Change is all about. It's just a howdy, welcome. How was New Year's Eve for you? And what do you have on tap for the next decade? I hope that whatever it is, it finds you naturally embracing it and that it leads you to places that you find inspiring and that you welcome and that people come into your world that you view as integral parts of your journey. If we have met in the past, I appreciate the fact that we've had the chance to spend some time together. And if we're meant to meet in the future, I was about to say I look forward to that, but I just got done saying what's the point of looking into the future? So there we go. Once again, the introspective viewpoint as we head into the year 2020. And another year of Embrace the Change, the second year of the podcast. It is 1 year ago that I hit the internet airwaves with the very first episode, and it has been a fun journey. I've talked to so many interesting people who I thank for sharing their stories, and I look forward to things to come. I know last episode I had mentioned I would love to dig into the homeless situation, and I have some people on tap that I hope to talk to who are gracious enough to share their story as to how they got to where they're at. So we're going to do that, and I look forward to maybe hearing your story as well. Don't forget, we're up on iTunes. Just hit the purple podcast app on your Apple device. Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, all those places. And the home for Embrace the Change is my website, davescottnow.com. And so that's where you can reach out and leave me any messages. Love to hear what you have on tap for the year 2020. What does the next decade hold in store for you? Where are you inside? What is your world like? Curious, love the chance to talk to you and compare notes. And until that happens,
embrace the change, embrace the change.